She has the best tits in Hollywood. Those were the exact words proudly proclaimed by her own grandparents, and they sparked an uproar across social media that refused to settle. The actress in question is none other than Sydney Sweeney, the breakout star of modern dramas and blazing hot comedies who, at just 27 years old, has conquered hearts from coast to coast. Yet now, the rumor mills are churning at full speed with a single question. How could the woman touted by her supportive relatives as the sexiest thing to ever grace a film set possibly be single? What is going on behind that perfectly calm exterior, and why has half of Hollywood's leading men started clamoring for her attention? Today, we're diving into the sudden wildfire of gossip, the real story behind her apparent relationship hiatus, and the explosive revelation that she may be the most coveted star in the entire entertainment industry right now. Buckle up, because in the next few minutes, we're going to uncover every rumor, every hush-hush confession, and every twist in this saga that just keeps on giving. In this special unveiling, we'll talk about the fateful postponement of Sydney Sweeney's once highly anticipated wedding, the high-profile heartthrobs who have slid into her direct messages, and whether there's any chance the unstoppable actress might give in to the overwhelming attention. Are we about to witness a real-life version of a Bachelorette, Hollywood edition, or is she set on blazing her own trail without a man by her side? Keep listening, because this is just the start. Our story begins in a whirlwind of speculation when the split between Sydney Sweeney and her former fiancé, film director Jonathan Davino, quietly hit tabloids earlier this year. The two, who had been engaged since the golden days of her career ascent, chose to postpone their wedding in February of this year, raising eyebrows in a town where such postponements are rarely a good sign. In hush-hush corners of the city, insiders whispered that friction had been building for a while, and the couple found themselves diverging on life goals. Still, for months, there was no official word that the union was off, leading fans to speculate everything from a super-secret wedding to an indefinite engagement. But then came the bombshell. Sydney Sweeney, in an offhand yet telling remark, acknowledged that she was single and loving it. The phrase dangled provocatively in the public's imagination. Suddenly, it was as if a neon sign switched on over the city, screaming, "Tinseltown's newest bachelorette is back on the market." And with that, a tide of A-listers seemed to appear, each more eager than the last to make a connection with the star. The tension was electric, and tongues started wagging loudly, implying that this romantic free-for-all was more than mere rumor. According to well-connected sources on the West Coast, the leading men lining up for a chance to woo the actress read like a who's who of Hollywood's most eligible. Some say the enthusiasm is reminiscent of certain reality shows, but with massive star power involved. If that's not worth a second glance, what is? Before we dig deeper, let's remember something crucial. Sydney Sweeney isn't your average ingenue looking for a big break. She's already solidified her reputation as an explosive talent, thanks to her fearless performance in the coming-of-age drama Euphoria, in which she bared not just her body, but her soul. Her grandparents, known to be hilariously candid, even told interviewers that they found those scenes tasteful, and that's why she has the best tits in Hollywood. That level of outspoken family support set the tone for how Sydney Sweeney and her loved ones handle fame. Direct, unapologetic, and boldly forward. Still, while admirers might be flocking to her doorstep, it takes more than sheer fame to create a genuine love match. Our star is not someone who wants to compromise her independence or overshadow her accomplishments by being arm candy on a red carpet. This is, after all, the actress who has done her own mechanical work on her nostalgic dream car and who has studied mixed martial arts since her early teens. She's more than capable of standing her own ground and leaving potential suitors in the dust if they don't take her seriously. Which leads us to an important puzzle piece, the rumored heavy hitters who have taken an interest in her. First up, whispers of world-famous singer Harry Styles, who is 31 years old and at the apex of global stardom, have been swirling for quite a while. He's said to be taken by her authenticity, her grounded personality, and, of course, her captivating on-screen presence. Let's not forget that she even attended a One Direction concert years ago, when Harry Styles was just beginning to shine as a solo phenomenon waiting to happen. Meanwhile, rumors hint that perhaps the biggest name with a possible crush is none other than Ben Affleck. Yes, you heard correctly. Ben Affleck, known for decades of iconic roles and an Oscar win under his belt, is said to have made it clear he's equally as starstruck by the luminous Euphoria actress. At 52 years old, he's the self-proclaimed bad boy of Hollywood, with a string of high-profile relationships in his past. But that's precisely why his latest rumored interest is so fascinating. After all, it's not every day the star of Gone Girl and Argo sets his sights on a newly single bombshell. On another side of the rumor spectrum, we find the easygoing charmer Zac Efron, who has allegedly been slipping into her direct messages with a sweet, persistent approach. And then there's Glen Powell, who has been Sydney's co-star in new romantic comedy projects. According to insiders, the chemistry between Sydney Sweeney and Glen Powell crackled so brightly on set that half the crew believed these two were just one more flirty press junket away from announcing a full-blown status update. But so far, both the actress and her co-star have been adamant that they are simply close friends with a shared passion for comedic storytelling. Add to that the cameo appearances in her social life. She's been spotted having a riotous night out in Las Vegas with none other than Machine Gun Kelly, who was recently single himself. When you mix the gorgeous actress, a star musician known for his punk flamboyance, and the bright lights of Sin City, tongues were guaranteed to wag. Yet, as fast as these rumors rose, they seemed to fade when sources clarified that she was there in a group context, letting off steam during a particularly stressful stretch of filming. So, how did we get here in the first place? What's stoking the fires of interest to such a combustible degree? One theory points directly at her unstoppable rise in the film industry. Her schedule is crammed with non-stop filming, from the third season of Euphoria to multiple new projects that see her stepping into bigger leading roles and cutting deeper deals behind the scenes. She has even launched her own production company, a move that signals her long-term plan, not just to star in blockbusters, but to help shape the narratives being told on screen. This unstoppable ambition is like a beacon for admirers across all circles. Everyone wants to pitch themselves as the supportive partner to an ascendant star, but it's an open question whether any of these prospective suitors can keep up with her stamina and laser focus. By now, you might be asking, is the reality of her break from Jonathan Davino partly fueled by the unstoppable momentum of her career? It's a fair question. The entire fiasco began earlier this year when the wedding was indefinitely delayed. Although fans hoped they might still work it out, the news that she'd gone ring-free for months at a stretch sent a powerful message. She was ready to stand on her own. But let's not paint this story as simply the glamorous adventures of a Hollywood star with men swooning at every corner. The deeper story runs through Sydney Sweeney's desire to protect her personal life from becoming tabloid fodder. Too often, young actresses go from being recognized for their achievements to suddenly bearing the label of someone's girlfriend. This is especially poignant for Sydney, given her well-documented struggles to be taken seriously in an industry that sometimes reduces women to mere side attractions in the male-driven narrative. She is determined not to let that happen. If you're enjoying this inside look at Sydney Sweeney's life and the swirling rumors around her romantic status, consider giving this channel a friendly thumbs up. It's an easy gesture that helps us keep delving into these fascinating stories, and we truly appreciate your support. Let's return to the extraordinary star. Many of her closest friends say that behind her luminous smile and no-holds-barred performances, there's a cautious soul who has spent considerable time building up her self-esteem. After all, she's been in the spotlight from a relatively young age, fighting for roles and hoping to break free of the typecasting that can strangle an actress's creative ambitions. And what about the men who are allegedly itching to take her on a date? Are their motivations purely romantic, or are they enthralled by the star factor? Sydney Sweeney's current status as the it girl may be part of the equation. Yet sources close to the actress say she's quite good at spotting disingenuous intentions. She's the type to study a potential suitor's background, to weigh whether they understand her ongoing commitments, and to ask herself if they can deal with her firm independence. Some fans are also speculating about the support system behind the star. She has famously tight familial bonds, with grandparents who are more than happy to speak their mind about adult scenes, and with a circle of friends and mentors who champion her success. This strong sense of community might be precisely why she is approaching any new relationship with the caution of a triple check. The last thing she needs is a romance that sours on the public stage right when she's hitting her creative stride. Let's address the question that so many people seem to be asking. Could one of these famous suitors actually stand a real chance with her? Whether it's Glen Powell, who's rumored to be waiting patiently on the sidelines, Or Harry Styles, a global sensation for both his vocal prowess and charismatic persona. Each man brings a different dynamic to the table. Harry is known for his laid-back confidence and flamboyant sense of style, but behind the star power, friends say he's affectionate and deeply sincere. If there's anything that might attract Sydney Sweeney, it's that sense of authenticity. Then there's Ben Affleck, the iconic actor and filmmaker who might bring a sense of mature perspective and seasoned life experience to a relationship. But is that what the youthful and vibrant star is seeking? It would be one thing if her career were winding down, giving her ample time for a slow-brewing romance. In reality, though, her schedule has never been more intense. She's not only filming multiple projects back-to-back, but also collaborating behind the scenes to produce and develop scripts that speak to her artistic vision. She's determined to lead, to learn, and to push the boundaries of storytelling for the next generation. This might explain why, despite the flurry of men hoping for a real chance to sweep her off her feet, she seems hesitant to let anyone get too close. One friend shared that she's having a renaissance of self-discovery, journaling, meditating, and working with a therapist to unpack the whirlwind changes that happen so fast in her life. She's mindful that any public relationship could overshadow her achievements, leading critics to say, "Oh, you're dating that big star, that must be what's propping up your name." The last thing she wants is for her personal life to become the main headline, overshadowing her thriving career. The tension between personal connections and professional ambition is hardly new in Hollywood, but the stakes feel higher for a woman so publicly recognized for her roles that challenge stereotypes of female sexuality, independence, and success. Her star has soared to the point where she's trading lines with legends, starring in comedic romps opposite charismatic co-leads, and leaving her own personal stamp as a rising producer. It's a lot for one person to handle, and any suitor will need to be not only understanding, but fully supportive. That said, in an industry that thrives on rumors, no one can say for certain how long she'll truly remain single. As the tabloids churn out eye-catching headlines, each potential romance begs the question, can any of these suitors spark something so real and unassailable that the public can see it right away? In real life, romance is rarely as neat as a cinematic storyline. For every rumor of a clandestine date with an A-list singer, there might be a quiet evening spent with old friends. For every suggestion of a blossoming fling with a legendary actor, there could be a day spent behind closed doors, studying lines or brainstorming her next big production. But the swirl of speculation around her remains intense because, let's face it, audiences adore a star who stands boldly in her own truth. Here's the twist, though. When you take a dynamic performer like Sydney Sweeney, someone who trained in MMA, who wields a wrench to fix up classic cars, who can shred stereotypes with a single raised eyebrow, and put her in the crosshairs of Hollywood's biggest names, you get a phenomenon that's not just about a pretty face. You get a symbol of empowerment. She's out there, taking the reins of her narrative, refusing to become the overshadowed partner in any power couple dynamic. She wants to be seen as a powerhouse, not a romantic accessory. And many people are cheering her on, hopeful that she'll find a partner who respects that unstoppable drive, rather than tries to take the spotlight for themselves. If you're intrigued by these details and you want to be the first to hear fresh insights into the swirling rumor mill, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's the perfect way to stay on top of the latest developments without having to chase every gossip headline. Plus, it helps us keep bringing you stories that matter. So, where does that leave us? Right now, Sydney Sweeney is forging full speed ahead into a jam-packed schedule of film and television work. She's reading scripts, finalizing deals, and preparing to step into even larger roles that will define her next chapter. The people who know her best say she's enthralled by this phase of her life, this adrenaline rush of creativity and success. In fact, she's become fiercely protective of this momentum, wary of anything that might upset her equilibrium, including a high-stakes romance with a big Hollywood name. That's not to say she's sworn off dating entirely, far from it. Insiders describe her as someone who deeply values companionship and romance, but she's also determined to keep it real. No drama, no theatrics, no overshadowing her artistry. If a suitor comes along who genuinely respects her hustle and doesn't try to outshine her, there's a possibility she'll give them a chance. In some ways, her story mirrors that of many ambitious young professionals. We all face moments where we must choose between pushing forward in our careers and diving into the deep waters of a fresh romance. For most people, that dilemma happens privately, but for Sydney Sweeney, it's being played out in front of the entire world. Every dinner she attends with a potential friend or colleague can wind up on social media. Every moment spent laughing with a male co-star can prompt swirling speculation about a hot new fling. This is the paradox of modern celebrity, made even more intense by the rise of instant online commentary. The subplots are also worth mentioning. Glen Powell, a handsome co-star with comedic flair, has fans cheering them on as the perfect complementary duo. Harry Styles brings international pop star glam with a dash of gentle sincerity, so it's easy to see why fans might root for that pairing. Then there's the rumor of a reinvigorated Ben Affleck, feeling the rush of inspiration from a younger muse, or the playful Zac Efron, sliding into direct messages with flirty banter that might break the ice. Each scenario is bursting with cinematic potential, but the actress behind these rumors remains committed to self-determination. At this point, the big question is simply, how long can she maintain this delicate balance before someone steals her heart, or she decides it's time to open up once more? Insiders say that with her star rising, she prefers to be on top of her game, refusing any entanglement that might derail her energy. For the moment, Sydney Sweeney stands resolute, prioritizing personal growth, mental well-being, and an unwavering focus on creative breakthroughs. So, that's the state of play in this fascinating story of heartbreak, career triumph, and persistent admirers. As we speak, the actress continues to pursue therapy, journaling, and purposeful self-care to navigate an industry that feasts on the private details of public figures. By focusing on her production company's first-ever slate of films, maintaining a rigorous shooting schedule, and filtering friend groups to surround herself with only the most supportive, uplifting influences, she's charting a course that could redefine what it means to be a Hollywood star in the 21st century. When she's ready, if she's ready, she may well share her world with someone who can accept her full range. A woman who can be vulnerable, powerful, sultry, comedic, and unstoppable. Until that day comes, the rest of Hollywood remains breathless, lined up and waiting for the slightest sign that she is taking applications. Yet her stance is clear. She's not racing to say yes to anyone until she finds a connection that resonates with who she is when the cameras stop rolling. Ultimately, the best conclusion to this chapter is probably that she is single, yes, but she is far from alone or lonely. She has passions, friends, fans, mentors, and a creative spark that seems impossible to extinguish. In a city that loves to pit women against each other or define them by their romantic partnerships, Sydney Sweeney is forging a new identity, one that says a woman can be sexy yet cerebral, fierce yet compassionate, part of the system yet powerful enough to bend it to her will. And with that, dear listeners, we reach a remarkable turning point in her personal odyssey, leaving us all to wonder if she might just be the new face of unstoppable Hollywood empowerment. That's our deep dive into the rumor-laden, excitement-laden single life of Sydney Sweeney. Thank you for embarking on this journey with us. Stay tuned for updates because, in a town that thrives on constant reinvention, you never know what tomorrow's headline might bring. If you found yourself enthralled by this narrative, please share your thoughts or experiences in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, remember that real passion and self-respect always outshine even the brightest romance rumors swirling around Tinseltown.